So thank you for your patience. Let's begin our session. And I hope you enjoyed your lunch. And as we begin the afternoon session, we'll continue our discussion on cooperation through 2 sessions, including one focused on financing strategies in building resilience. So to conclude the day, we have a city networking event at the end of the day planned. So with that, let's begin the next session. The theme of this session is Northeast and Southeast Asia MCR2030 Resilience Hub, Building Urban Resilience through City-to-City Cooperation. 네, 그럼 저희 오후 세션 시작할 텐데요. 오후에도 굉장히 풍성한 프로그램들 많이 준비했습니다. 2개의 세션을 통해서 협력에 대한 이야기 계속해서 나눠볼 예정이고요. 또 보건력 강화를 위한 재원 조달에 대한 세션도 준비가 되어 있습니다. 또 오늘 행사 마지막에는 도시 네트워킹 이벤트로 오늘 마무리할 예정이니까요. 끝까지 함께해 주시면 대단히 감사하겠습니다. 네, 그럼 이번 세션의 주제는 동북아 및 동남아 MCR2030 보건력 허브 도시 간 협력을 통한 도시 보건력 구축 세션입니다. 이번 세션의 좌장을 맡아주실 아니나 하르퉁 ICLEI 세계사무국 보건력 개발팀 담당관님께 저는 마이크를 넘기도록 하겠습니다. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce Ms. Anina Hartung, Officer, Resilient Development Team, ICLEI World Secretariat, will moderate this session. So I'll pass the mic to the moderator. Please give her a big hand. 큰 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다.
Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon to all the attendees here, and thank you very much for joining this special session. I hope you had a wonderful lunch. So, as mentioned, my name is Anina Hartung, and I am an officer who works at ICLE Local Governments for Sustainability's World Secretariat. And I have the immense pleasure of moderating this session today, which is titled Northeast and Southeast Asia, MCR 2030 Resilience Hubs, Building Urban Resilience Through City-to-City Cooperation. So just to set the scene and provide a bit of a short overview about what the contents of today's session will be all about. In this session, local leaders from MCR 2030 Resilience Hubs in Northeast Asia and Southeast Asia will discuss the role of MCR 2030 Resilience Hubs in promoting city-to-city cooperation to support locally led disaster risk reduction efforts and showcase how their cities have supported other local governments to scale up their resilience ambitions and actions. Just as a reminder for some of our audience and to maybe mention once again, Making Cities Resilient 2030, MCR 2030 for short, was launched by the United Nations in 2020 and is a unique cross-stakeholder initiative for improving local resilience and accelerating progress against Sustainable Development Goal number 11, as well as other global frameworks. Something also important to note about MCR 2030 is that it is a global collaboration. It has 11 core partners, for which one of them happens to also be ICLE. It has 1,900 participating cities and local governments in 96 countries and 540 partner entities offering services to cities to reduce their disaster risk. Among those 1,900 participating cities, 35 of them are resilience hubs and which have committed to having an established track record in disaster risk reduction and resilience, and have committed their support to mentor other MCR 2030 municipalities. At this time, there are 5 MCR 2030 resilience hubs, and what's quite exciting about this session is that we actually have all 5 of them here with us today, both in person as well as virtually. So it is my pleasure to introduce them now to you today. So joining with us, we have Mr. Baek-jin Yoon, who is the Executive Director of Citizen Safety Headquarters in Incheon Metropolitan City, Republic of Korea. Welcome. We have Mr. Atsushi Yanagisawa, Senior Director of Disaster Resilient and Environmentally Friendly City Promotion Office in the City Planning Policy Bureau from Sendai, Japan. Welcome. We also have with us Hye Yong-bae, who is the team leader in Disaster Policy Division from Ulsan Metropolitan City, Republic of Korea. Welcome. And then joining us online, we have Liza Velle Ramos, who is the division head for research and planning in Makati City, Philippines. And in addition to that, we also have us joining virtually Mr. Lee Jun-jao, who is the director of Construction Bureau in Junji City, China. So just to also mention here that the session will be conducted in the form of presentations. And we've given the most impossible task to our speakers today to have them summarize their city's great efforts in under 10 minutes or less. And unfortunately, I do have to be a bit strict about this in order to make sure that all of our wonderful speakers today are able to have the same amount of time allocated to them and not to create any further delays. So with that, I'd now like to welcome our first speaker to the floor, Mr. Baek-jin Yoon, who will be representing Incheon Metropolitan City. In addition to being our host for this incredible forum, Incheon City has been an MCR2030 member and the first resilience hub in the Asia Pacific since 2021. And he will be sharing with us Incheon's commitments as a resilience hub, their international city-to-city disaster risk reduction cooperation efforts, along with examples of concrete actions that they have implemented since becoming the first resilience hub in Asia Pacific. The floor is yours.
네, 방금 소개받은 인천광역시 시민안전본부장 윤백진이라고 합니다. 올해 4회째 맞이하는 인천국제재난보건력 지도자 포럼에 이렇게 많은 분들이 참석해 주셔서 감사의 인사를 드리겠습니다. 이번 포럼이 재난 위험 경감과 재난 보건력 강화를 위한 다양한 정책과 경험을 공유하고 발전적인 대안을 함께 모색하는 자리가 되길 바라겠습니다. 그러면 발표를 시작하겠습니다. 네, 최근 전 세계적으로 재난 환경이 급속하게 변화하고 있습니다. 대한민국 또한 도시 인프라가 노후와 초고층화, 지하화되면서 복합 재난의 위험성이 점차 커지고 있습니다. 이런 상황 속에서 우리는 단순한 대응을 넘어 재난의 예측과 예방 그리고 회복까지 고려한 상시적인 재난 관리 체계를 구축하고 제도와 시스템이 실제 현장에서 작동할 수 있도록 재난 안전 관리를 관리하는 것이 무엇보다도 중요하다고 생각합니다. 네, 인천시는 회복력 있는 초인류 안전도시 구현을 목표로 다양한 정책을 추진하고 있습니다. 첫째, 재난 피해 경감을 위해 다양한 기반 인프라 확충. 둘째, 새로운 재난 위험에 대한 대응력 강화. 셋째, 민관이 협력하여 안전문화 활성화. 마지막으로 국제협력 강화를 통해 보건력 강화에 노력하고 있습니다. 이러한 노력으로 인천시는 3년 연속 국민안전교육 우수기관으로 선정되었고 금년도 2025년에는 재난관리평가 전국 1위를 기록했습니다. 또한 그동안 재난경감 노력으로 2021년 아시아 최초로 UNDRR 보건력 허브도시 인증을 받았습니다. 지금부터 구체적인 사례를 중심으로 소개해 보겠습니다. 먼저 재난 피해 저감을 위한 인프라 확충입니다. 인천시는 방범과 재난 취약 지역에 대한 상시 감시 체계 구축을 위해서 재난 안전 영상 CCTV를 설치하여 운영하고 있습니다. 전체 현재 기준 약 14,000개소에 26,000여 대의 카메라를 설치하여 하천 수위 감지 시스템 총 8개 재난 관리 시스템과 연계 운영하며 재난 피해 최소화에 노력하고 있습니다. 다음은 상습 침수 지역 관제 시스템 구축 운영 사항입니다. 주요 상습 침수 지역에 침수 감지 센서와 IoT 게이트웨이를 설치하여 수위가 일정 수준 이상의 지표값을 넘을 경우에 재난 안전 상황실에 알림이 울리고 주변의 CCTV 영상이 자동으로 표출됩니다. 또한 담당자에게도 경보 단계, 침수 수위 등이 문자로 전송됩니다. 이를 통해 주변 통제와 주민 대피 등을 신속하게 할 수 있게 되어 인명 피해를 사전에 최소화할 수 있습니다. 현재 45개소 180개의 침수 감지 센서가 설치되어 있으며 추가 필요한 지역을 지속적으로 발굴하고 있습니다. 네, 다음은 지능형 수위 감지 시스템으로 수위가 설정된 일정 수준에 도달할 경우 단계별로 재난 안전 상황실에 경보 알림과 CCTV 영상이 자동으로 표출됩니다. 하천 주변의 상황을 실시간으로 확인할 수 있어 상황 판단에 유용하게 활용되고 있습니다. 또한 붕괴 우려가 있는 노후화된 건축물과 교량, 옹벽 등 원격으로 관리하기 위한 IoT 센서를 설치하여 진동, 기울임, 균열 등에 대해 실시간으로 모니터링하여 즉각 상황에 대처할 수 있도록 하고 있습니다. 그리고 디지털 트윈 기술을 활용해서 전국 최대 규모의 인천 부평 지하상가에서 화재가 발생하는 상황을 시뮬레이션을 통해서 사전 대응 체계를 구축하고자 올해부터 개발 사업을 추진하고 있습니다. 네, 다음은 위험에 대한 상시 대응 체계 마련으로 대응력을 강화하고 있습니다. 현장 중심의 재난에 대비하기 위해서는 재난 예보 경보 시스템 위에도 재난 발생 징후를 사전에 발견하고 초동 조치를 하는 것이 무엇보다도 중요합니다. 최근 기후변화로 집중호우가 빈번해지고 이에 신속하게 대응하기 위해서 현장 점검 확인반을 가동하여 재난 징후를 사전에 감지하고 있습니다. 매년 대규모 재난에 대비한 현장 훈련을 실시하고 있습니다. 민간군이 협력해서 복합 재난 상황을 가정하고 훈련을 통해 초기 대응 역량을 높이고 있습니다. 다양한 현장 중심의 복합 재난 시나리오를 기반으로 훈련을 포함하고 있어 실제 상황에서의 대응력을 높였다는 평가를 받아 안전한국훈련에서 최우수 기관으로 선정된 바 있습니다. 네, 다음으로 민관이 협력하여 안전문화 활성화에 노력하고 있습니다. 안전관리 전문성을 높이기 위해 재난안전 분야 전담 연구기관인 인천안전도시연구센터를 지난 2022년도에 설립했습니다. 센터는 인천 지역의 특성을 반영한 선도적인 재난안전 정책을 마련하고 이를 통해 인천을 더욱 안전한 도시로 발전시키기 위해 연구를 진행하고 있습니다. 네, 그리고 공공기관뿐만 아니라 재난안전 활동에 적극적으로 참여하는 민간 단체들로 구성된 안전문화운동 추진협의회를 운영하고 있습니다. 쉽게 말씀드리면 안전한 도시를 만들기 위해 힘을 모은 팀이라고 생각하시면 되겠습니다. 이 협의회의 가장 큰 역할은 안전문화를 확산하는 것입니다. 다양한 안전문화 사업을 기획하고 실행 방안을 논의하고 민간과 공공기관이 함께 시민들에게 재난안전 예방 교육을 제공하는 일을 맡고 있습니다. 네, 마지막으로 국제적으로도 재난안전 분야에서 활발한 교류를 하고 있습니다. 2019년 우간다의 캄발라시를 시작으로 해서 이집트, 태국 등 여러 해외 도시들과 교류하면서 인천의 재난안전 정책과 우수 사례를 공유하고 있습니다. 올해 4월에는 아프리카 토고의 국가민방위청에서 인천시 재난안전 상황실을 직접 방문해서 재난 대비 대응과 대응에 대한 경험과 노하우를 공유하고 파트너십을 강화하는 그런 자리를 가졌었습니다. 네, 그리고 행정안전부 DRR과 공동으로 협력해서 한국의 여건에 맞는 학교 안전 프로그램을 개발했습니다. 이 프로그램은 학생들이 자발적 참여와 토론을 중심으로 게임 도구 등 다양한 부교재를 활용하고 있습니다. 교사 연수를 매년 2회 실시하고 있으며 학생들 또한 매년 약 1만 명 이상이 참여하고 있습니다. 이 프로그램을 통해서 어린이들에게 재난의 개념, 대응 방법, 사례 등을 공유하면서 상시 위험에 대비할 수 있도록 하고 있습니다. 네, 다음 마지막으로 오늘의 이 포럼을 UNDRR과 협력하여 매년 개최하며 재난 경감을 위해 국제사회와 소통하고 있습니다. 이 포럼은 세계 각국의 재난 위험 경감을 위한 정책과 기술, 사례 등을 공유하는 국제적 논의와 교류의 장입니다. 매회 20개국 350명 이상이 참여하고 국내뿐 아니라 해외 참가자들이 관심을 모아 재난보건용 허브 도시로서의 위상을 높이고 있습니다. 앞으로도 인천시는 세계와 소통하며 더욱 강력한 재난 대응 시스템을 구축하고 안전한 도시를 만들기 위해 지속적으로 노력할 것을 약속드립니다. 지금까지 발표를 들어주셔서 감사합니다. 네, 이상 마치겠습니다.
Mr. Baek-jin Yoon, thank you so much for your presentation and for sharing how Incheon is advancing disaster resilience through smart infrastructure, inclusive safety culture, and international cooperation. Your city's journey, I think, as Asia's first UNDRR resilience hub serves as quite a powerful example of what local leadership can truly achieve. So thank you so much for that. Now I would like to introduce our next speaker, who unfortunately is not here with us today in person, but has offered to join us virtually online, Ms. Liza Velle Ramos, who is here on behalf of Makati City, Philippines. Just as a bit of background about Makati, it was the second city in Asia Pacific to become an MCR 2030 resilience hub in 2022, in great part thanks to Ms. Liza Ramos's efforts and contributions. Makati City is a very active city in MCR 2030 and truly a champion in promoting MCR 2030 tools for urban resilience and sharing their experience with multiple other cities at home and abroad to help them harmonize disaster risk reduction planning and strategy development. At ICLE, we're also very familiar with Makati's exemplary efforts. Actually, the former mayor, Abigail Benet, was once our global executive community chair for our innovative finance portfolio. And so with that, we would like to give a warm welcome now to Liza. The floor is yours, if you're here joining us.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly despite my hoarse voice. At this time, I'm still under the weather, but I hope I can give justice to this presentation on behalf of Makati City as a resilience hub in the Southeast Asia region. So allow me to present to you our city-to-city experience entitled Forging Bridges, Building Resilience. So, city-to-city cooperation has always been one of our major investments in building resilience, because we believe that through sharing of best practices and learnings can we only achieve collective localization of the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. And particularly for Makati's stance on city-to-city cooperation, this has been an investment of the city since many years back. We've included the Sister Cities program as one of our programs here in the Philippines, which actually benefited hundreds of cities and municipalities in the Philippines. And which also started our partnership with the international community, one of which is with Los Angeles, with Yokohama, and with many other cities globally. So basically for this one, we've made sure that city-to-city cooperation is one of our regular programs that we continue to invest on. Our membership in the CLE, in CityNet, in UCLG have actually paved the way in making sure that this commitment to share our practices and to also learn from others can actually be sustained. Next slide, please. And because of this, just 3 years ago, on that same stage as where our other speakers are, we've received our recognition as a resilience hub. And because of that, we've had another platform to make use of the city-to-city cooperation as our vessel for promoting local resilience in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. So with that, allow me to share with you our journey since from the time that we became a resilience hub in 2022 up to the present through an audiovisual presentation.
Makati City, at the heart of progress, innovation, and resilience. For over a decade, Makati has championed disaster risk reduction, building safer and stronger communities. As part of the Making Cities Resilient 2030 initiative, Makati has taken decisive steps to ensure its Makatisettes and systems are equipped to face both current and future risks. This journey is built on a decade of experience, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Through the MCR2030 initiative, Makati has increased awareness and action towards disaster risk reduction, forged strong partnerships with government, private sector, and civil society. Facilitated training, webinars, and workshops to build resilience capacity. Develop critical tools and resources for cities worldwide. Foster the global network of cities committed to enhancing resilience. We've conducted comprehensive risk assessments, shared best practices, and provided technical assistance to cities developing their resilience strategies. Over the past decade, Makati has made great strides in its journey to resilience, largely aided by MCR tools made accessible to us. We are eager to pay it forward by optimizing the opportunity to share our knowledge, best practices, and resources with other cities so that together, we can attain the highest level of resilience come 2030. As we look to the future, we invite you to join us on this journey of resilience. Together, we can build stronger, safer cities across the globe. Makati City, making resilience as a way of life.
There you go. So that's just a 2 minutes of, I think more than a decade, over a decade of experience in employing city-to-city cooperation in building local resilience. And because of that, our city-to-city investments have not only reached, hard interventions, but really soft interventions as well. And what I will be focusing on this presentation is mainly those soft interventions in collectively building local interventions. No? Like, for example, this particular slide, which shows a shared framework principles for making resilience as a way of life. Mainly our stance in making disaster resilience not only as a buzzword or a buzz phrase, but something that should be lived by every citizen of Makati, is something that we've learned from our long-term collaboration and partnership with the cities of Japan, like Yokohama. And as you can see on the screen, their principle of self-help, public help, and mutual help is similarly the same framework, the same guiding framework that we're using in Makati, and we've actually institutionalized it through a city ordinance. We are making sure that all of the stakeholders who are contributing to the resilience building of the city are actually employing this principle as part of their design, and regular service delivery when it comes to disaster resilience building. So similarly, when we've experienced through our years of exposure and learning exchanges with cities in Japan, from their disaster prevention drills to their DRR learning booths, we tried to also apply it here in the city of Makati. Of course, contextualizing it with our own scenarios, with our own simulations, with our own definition and context of how go bag should be put together, for instance, or how we should be making our DRR education creative and interactive for the citizens, because we believe that it's only through their experiential learning can our citizens really make a difference in the realm of disaster resilience. Because relatively here in the Philippines, Makati is a low-risk city, relatively compared with our neighboring cities. And because of that inexperience, if I may say it that way, inexperience in major disasters, our communities tend to just have this perception that they will not be affected that much. But because of these kinds of principles, the principles that affects behavioral change or that influences behavioral change, we can say that disaster resilience is something that we can really inculcate in the way of lives of our stakeholders. Next slide, please. But aside from applying it, we are also, as a resilience hub, we are also trying to transfer the learnings through city-to-city cooperation. Still another example of our very good partnership with Yokohama, Japan, wherein their firefighters personally trained our firefighters here in the city. So we had this 2 or 3 years of exchanges. Our firefighters going in Japan, the Yokohama firefighters going here in Makati, until we were able to really have full-fledged capacitated and trained firefighters in the city. And because of that experience, with all of the series of activities, and because of our confidence with how our firefighters respond to emergencies and disasters, we have, through our CityNet membership and leadership, we have transferred that same learning, the discipline in search and rescue, the discipline and the technical skills in search and rescue is now being transferred to Lalitpur city of Nepal. So what we've learned from Yokohama, we implemented in our city. But aside from implementing it in our city, we tried to also share the same learning and discipline to another city in the Asia Pacific region, which is Lalitpur city in Nepal. Next slide, please. So similarly, like what this IDRLF2025 had done for this particular year, we've also put together in one stage the 5 resilience hubs during the Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on DRR last year, hosted by the Philippines. So again, not only applying what we've learned for city-to-city cooperation, not only transferring the knowledge as we learn from the city-to-city cooperation, but also making use of the city as a resilience hub as a platform to also share the scope of services that these resilience hubs can actually give to other members or to other cities in the Asia Pacific region. And by hosting and moderating this particular technical session or side event session in the APM CDRR last year, we were able to share what the Asia Pacific region's resilience hubs can actually provide for the other members or other cities and local governments in the Asia Pacific region. At the time, it was, I believe, the same time when Sendai was recognized as a resilience hub. So I believe that was also something memorable for them, the same way as this particular IDRLF is memorable to us here in Makati. And because of this, we were able to make sure that the resilience hubs are not just here for its title and position, but we are here to provide the services to make sure that the localization of Sendai framework and the collective local resilience intervention can be done at the Asia Pacific region. And so with that, I think that's just basically some of the case studies. No, it's not as hard intervention as presented by our friends from Incheon, but it's something that we'd like to also share with everybody, that sometimes local resilience building is not all
Ms.
about
Ramos,
infrastructure.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but do you mind wrapping up a little bit?
Sure.
Super
I'm
interesting.
about to wrap up. Sure. And just to, again, maybe just to continue now for the next slide, but before that, as I've said, it's really all about having that discipline and that behavioral change that we want to effect, which can be a result of a city-to-city cooperation. And because of that, I would like to share with you some of the key factors for the successful city-to-city cooperation that we've invested on in Makati. Definitely the political commitment and leadership from city officials on how they're supporting these kinds of interventions is very important. The clear identification of shared challenges and that making sure that the objectives of a particular city-to-city cooperation is mutually beneficial. Of course, funding mechanism is very important to make sure that we can sustain such collaboration. And in doing all of this collaboration, sustained communication is also very important with the involvement of different stakeholders. And sometimes it's not always, through formal means, but cooperation can also be through informal cooperation agreements that hopefully will turn into formal partnerships with concrete actions, plans, and timelines. My next slide is just some recommendations on how we can actually forge future domestic and international city-to-city cooperation. But mainly what I would like to just mention before I end my presentation is that we can maximize different regional resilience networks. ICLE is there, UNDRR MCR2030 is there, CityNet is there, UCLG is there. All of these are platforms established mainly for this purpose, and us cities can actually leverage on this. And hopefully through this, we can really make, the vision of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction a reality in our region. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much as well. Sorry to have cut you a little bit short there from your presentation. Your passion is really coming through the screen, and we appreciate that. I took a keen interest in your slide about key factors for successful city-to-city cooperation, and I think that these provide really nice reflections and offer a practical blueprint for other cities looking to move past these one-off exchanges for more strategic collaboration. So thank you so much for your intervention there. Now I would like to introduce our third panelist, Mr. Atsushi Yanagisawa, who is here on behalf of Sendai City, Japan. As a bit of background about the city of Sendai, as the city may ring a bell, it is the reason why the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction has its name. After seeing tremendous destruction and its coastal area devastated by the massive tsunami caused by the Great East Japan earthquake in March 2011, Sendai City offered a model globally in sustainable development and reconstruction. Following the adoption of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction in 2015 to 2030 at the 3rd UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction held in Sendai in March 2015, the city has since proceeded with initiatives for raising awareness of the Sendai Framework among its citizens, mentoring other cities, and creating a disaster-resilient and environmentally friendly city, which we are all very eager to hear more about. So with that, Mr. Atsushi Yanagisawa, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to speak at this momentous occasion today. I would like to introduce Sendai City's initiatives for building urban resilience through intercity cooperation. Next slide, please. Sendai City was recognized as a MCR2030 Resilience Hub in 2024. We would like to give you a behind-the-scenes look at our current progress. And in 2011, Sendai experienced the Great East Japan earthquake. And in 2015, amidst the reconstruction, the third UN World Conference on DRR was held in Sendai. Based on the lessons learned from the disaster, to prepare against future disasters and fulfill our responsibility as a city where the Sendai framework was adopted. We are taking initiatives to build a disaster-resilient and environmentally friendly city. All related projects were developed based on 3 principles: city planning, human capacity building, and passing down experiences and lessons. For urban development related to the reconstruction from the earthquake, multiple tsunami defenses, including a coastal levee and an elevated road, were installed. In addition, along with promoting the collective relocation of residents living in hazardous zones to inland areas, we are revitalizing vacated sites. In terms of human capacity building, Sendai is nurturing diverse stakeholders and promoting networking. For example, we have been training community in DRR leaders, providing education for children that correspond to their ages, and holding the events where stakeholders gather and demonstrate their daily activities. As for passing down experiences and lessons, we open disaster ruins to the public, operate interactive memorial facilities. We also share our initiatives by hosting study tours and participate in international conferences like today. We share these initiatives through providing various opportunities with the aim being to enhance mitigation efforts of the other cities. For example, we offer study tours and training programs for domestic and international DRR stakeholders, businesses, and the others, which we run through JICA, Japan International Cooperation NJC, JICA training programs, and intermunicipal networks. Receiving study tour groups to earthquake disaster ruins and tsunami countermeasure structures in the coastal areas deepen their understanding of efforts to build disaster resilient communities. First, I'd like to share a few examples of the initiatives we offered last year. We hosted several study groups, one of which was from Bursa Metropolitan Municipality of Turkey, an area at high risk from earthquakes, just like Japan. In addition, we showed the central government and the municipal offices of Ukraine, our waste disposal and wastewater treatment plants, as well providing detailed explanations about the conditions during the 2011 disaster. We also held a session aimed at readers and experts from Maui Island, Hawaii, which was significantly damaged by wildfires in August 2023, to provide explanations about prioritizing waste disposal during the reconstruction process. As these examples shows, people involved in DRR visit our city from around the world. Even though every disaster is different, sharing this knowledge will greatly help future reconstruction and disaster mitigation efforts. Second, I would like to introduce our support for other cities which are undertaking efforts related to the implementation of the Sendai framework. In 2023, Sendai joined forces with Tohoku University to conduct a midterm review of the city's progress based on its own data analysis of damage caused by disasters and the effectiveness of DRR measures. This review was heralded as the first local government level evaluation of its kind and as a pioneer of a joint project with a research institute. The benefit of local government level evaluations includes the ability to give a compelling explanation to citizens through the visualization of DRR countermeasures and the ability to conduct continuous monitoring by clarifying the position of statistical information and establishing evaluation methods. Through utilizing our city's initiatives, we continue to encourage domestic municipalities to produce a review in each city respectively. This year, Himeji City in Japan is working to conduct same kind of review. We continue to support such effort in cooperation with not only Himeji City, but also other municipalities both in Japan and overseas. We are also working in collaboration with other overseas cities to strengthen the resilience of small and medium-sized businesses, or SMEs. Since last year, as a pilot city along with Barcelona and Bridgetown, Sendai has been involved in UNDRR project that supports the strengthening of disaster resilience of SMEs. Even though our city experienced a terrible disaster, we have faced challenges such as many businesses showing little interest in disaster resilience. We will be holding workshops locally to support the formulation of BCP and educate the public on strengthening disaster resilience and the necessity of communal cooperation. By accumulating these examples of pilot projects, we will continue to strive to be role models for other cities and their SMEs. This November, the High School Student Summit on World Tsunami Awareness Day 2025 will be held in Sendai, bringing together high school students from home and abroad to learn about DRR and also reconstruction initiatives. Will both provide valuable training for the future and deepen international exchange. Furthermore, in the autumn of 2027, the Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on DRR will be held in Sendai by UNDRR and the Japanese government. As we approach 2030, which is the end year of implementation of the framework, I am delighted to announce that this important final regional meeting will take place in Sendai. As I mentioned earlier, we in Sendai have worked to share our knowledge and our experiences with other cities from both home and abroad through various opportunities. Building networks to promote city-to-city cooperation in disaster risk reduction is not something that municipalities can easily achieve on their own. Therefore, it's essential to maintain regular collaboration with related organizations that possess cross-regional connections, such as national governments, international organizations, and research institutions, and so on. As a resilience hub, we will continue to further its effort so that we can contribute to strengthening city-to-city cooperation and regional resilience.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Thank you very much for
perfect.
listening.
Excellent. Great, perfect on time then. Thank you so much for your presentation and also for sharing how Sendai has transformed its disaster experiences into global leadership. I think it kind of goes without saying that your city's commitment to knowledge exchange, capacity building, and supporting other cities' Sendai framework really exemplifies the spirit of the resilience hubs. So once again, thank you so much for your presentation. And now I would like to introduce our fourth speaker, Ms. Hee-Yong-bae, who is here on behalf of Ulsan Metropolitan City in the Republic of Korea. As a bit of background about Ulsan Metropolitan City, it became a resilience hub in 2023 with a commitment to strengthening disaster risk reduction cooperation through international exchanges and sharing best practices in disaster management with other cities. So please, the floor is yours.
반갑습니다. 존경하는 참석자 여러분 안녕하십니까? 저는 울산광역시 재난정책팀장 배희영입니다. 25년 인천국제재난보건력 지도자 포럼 행사에 함께 하게 되어 뜻깊게 생각하며 울산의 경험을 공유할 기회를 주셔서 감사드립니다. 오늘은 울산이 도시 간 파트너십과 피어2피어 협력을 통해 협력을 실행으로 전환해 온 과정을 간략히 말씀드리겠습니다. 네, 울산은 대한민국 동남권에 위치한 해양산업 도시로 인구와 면적 면에서 중대형 규모의 강력 도시에 속합니다. 울산은 산업 수도의 역동성 위에 생활 만족도를 더해가는 도시로 태화강 국가정원을 중심으로 한 수변, 녹지, 축을 일상에 연결하고 대기, 수질 개선과 공원 문화, 인프라 확충으로 시민의 삶을 편안하게 합니다. 안전관리와 주거, 교통 서비스를 함께 강화해 안전하고 살기 좋은 도시로 진화하고 있습니다. 울산의 성공을 향한 도전에 대해서 말씀드리겠습니다. 울산이 안전하고 살기 좋은 도시로 향한 길은 결코 순탄하지 않았습니다. 우리는 대기와 수질 악화, 악취 등의 환경 오염과 산업단지에서의 누출, 폭발, 그리고 태풍, 지진 같은 복합 재난을 반복해서 마주했습니다. 그때마다 울산은 환경보건 투자, 위험 거버넌스 고도화, 현장 중심 훈련 등으로 문제를 하나씩 해결해 왔습니다. 울산의 성공 스토리에 관해서 말씀드리겠습니다. 울산의 성공과 미래가 함께 담겨 있습니다. 이 페이지에 작은 어촌에서 산업 수도로 그리고 리질리언스 허브로 성장해 오는 길은 결코 쉽지 않았지만 이제 울산은 도시간 협력과 피어 러닝을 통해 성과를 현장으로 확산하며 시민의 일상을 더 안전하고 살기 좋게 바꾸고 있습니다. 오늘 공유 드릴 내용의 전체 구조입니다. 왼쪽부터 도시 간의 협력, 해외 도시와의 정책 레벨 협력 채널을 나타내고 오른쪽은 피어 투 피어 협력 실무 중심의 멘토링과 현장 적용으로 이어지는 경로입니다. 이 두 축이 맞물리며 협력, 실행, 확산의 흐름을 만듭니다. 다음은 영국의 그레이트 맨체스터 도시간 사례입니다. 2019년 울산과 영국의 그레이트 맨체스터는 재난위험 경감과 관련한 MOU를 체결했습니다. 이후 정책 교류와 상호 학습이 꾸준히 이어져 왔고 팬데믹 시기에도 관계를 유지 강화했습니다. 유럽의 리질리언스 허버 네트워크와 연계되어 피어 세션과 우수 사례 공유가 확대되었습니다. 이 사례는 정책 차원의 협력 플랫폼을 안정적으로 구축한 점에 의미가 있다고 봅니다. 다음은 아마도라 도시간의 사례입니다. 24년 4월 울산은 아마도라 카스카이스 리스본을 방문해 벤치마킹과 지식 교류를 진행했습니다. 2025년에는 GP2025에서 양자회담이 이루어졌고 허브 간 연례 보고서와 정책 리포트 교환 등 협력이 이루어지고 있습니다. 26년에는 아마도라 대표단의 울산 방문이 계획되어 있어 현장 견학과 공동 워크숍으로 협력을 한 단계 확장할 예정입니다. 다음은 보령시와의 피어-투-피어 사례입니다. 보령시와는 MCR2030 오리엔테이션을 통해 역할과 채널을 정리한 뒤 UNDRR 스코어카드 워크숍의 평가단 모집, 교육, 진단, 리뷰의 전 과정에서 멘토 역할을 했습니다. 울산, 보령, 실무진 간 긴밀한 협력을 통해 완성도를 높였습니다. 핵심은 현장에서 바로 실행되는 변화를 만들었다는 점입니다. 다음은 울산의 비전에 대해서 말씀드리겠습니다. 울산은 산업수도, 리질리언스 허버, 에코폴리스를 하나의 시스템으로 통합하는 것입니다. 도시 간 협력이 플랫폼을 만들고 피어 러닝이 실천을 완성합니다. 이 흐름을 바탕으로 지속 가능한 성장과 안전을 함께 달성하겠습니다. 아울러 울산은 국내외 포럼과 MCR2030 네트워크 등 공개 채널을 통해 우리의 성공 사례와 교훈을 지속적으로 알리고 널리 확산하겠습니다. 이상입니다. 경청해 주셔서 감사합니다. 오늘 공유드린 도시간 협력 간 피어-투-피어 실행 사례가 각 도시의 현장의 작은 참고가 되길 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
And thank you very much for that very inspiring presentation and sharing the success of Ulsan with the rest of us. And also showing us how Ulsan has turned its industrial legacy and environmental challenges into a foundation for resilience. I think that seeing your city's journey from pollution and risk to peer mentoring and global cooperation is quite a powerful example of how cities can lead by transforming adversity into opportunity. So thank you once again. Last but not least, I would now like to introduce our fifth panelist, once again, who will be joining us virtually. I am speaking, of course, of Mr. Lee Jun-jao. He is here on behalf of Junji City, China. And a bit of a background about this city. It joined MCR2030 in 2023 and became a resilience hub in 2024 with the support of ARISE, the Global Private Sector Alliance for Disaster Resilient Societies. Since then, the city has transformed its approach to disaster management in the face of increasing flood risks and aims to empower other municipalities through city-to-city learning initiatives that will enhance the development and implementation of resilient strategies. So with that, Mr. Lee Jun-jao, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Director Zhao on my left hand and the city of Zhuji, it's an honor to share our journey with you today. I'm Mengjie Yang, and I will be presenting on our journey to in city-to-city collaboration for resilience, especially the practices and insights from Zhuji. Okay, let's start with Zhuji. Our city is beautiful and economically vibrant and has over 2,200 years history. But for a long time, we lived with a big challenge from Zhuji's mother river, the Puyang River. This river has given birth to the people of Zhuji, but at the same time, flood disaster it brings are the biggest challenge of Zhuji in creating a resilient city. Since 1949, the probability of flood disasters occurring has been as high as once every 3 to 4 years. A real turning point came in 2021 with strong Typhoon Yanhua. It was an important test for us. The water levels reached a record high, but thankfully, the investments we had made in our defenses paid off. Our main dikes hold firm, and we avoid a major disaster. This success was crucial because it gave us confidence, and it also was a key reason why in February 2024, Zhuji was recognized as an MCR2030 resilience hub. You know, Zhuji is the first city got this honor in China. So you might be curious, what exactly did we do? Okay, well, we focused on 4 key pillars. First, we built a stronger infrastructure. We reinforced over 62 kilometers of river walls and upgrading our pumping stations to be smarter. Second, on the right hand, we embraced the sponge city concept, creating more parks and green spaces that can absorb water, making our city more natural and resilient. Third, we went digital. We built a smart platform that gives us a single map of our city for real-time monitoring and early warnings. And finally, we compiled the Zhuji Resilient City Constructing Plan. We also created a practical guideline to make sure our lessons could be easily shared. So these steps laid a solid foundation for everything that follows. Okay, now we learned that being resilient yourself is one thing, but true strength comes from working with others. So let me share a few examples of how we are collaborating. The first case is about co-creation with our downstream neighbor, Pujiang County. We signed a formal agreement for joint flood control. This is a practical model of win-win cooperation. And the second example is knowledge sharing. Just a few months ago, we hosted delegations from Yoon Habitat and Guangzhou City. We took them to our project sites for very practical on-the-ground learning. And the third one is about regional cooperation. And the third one is about regional cooperation. We started talks with our upstream neighbor for coordinated approach to manage the entire river basin of Puyang River. It's about thinking bigger than our own city limits. And besides, for the international cooperation, we helped Turkey against the earthquake disaster in 2023. And a professional rescue team of 41 people went to Turkey to help them. Okay, from these experiences, we have learned what makes collaboration work well. We think there are 4 key factors for success. First, you have to have a similar problem and build a trust with your partners. You know, real partnership is built by doing things together. Second, it's all about translation, not transplantation. You know, you have to adapt solutions to fit your own local context, not simply copy them. Second, you need to bring everyone to the table. Like the government, communities, businesses, and also public, they need all working together. And fourth, you need a clear leadership and a plan for resources. Collaboration needs a driver and a sustainable funding support to last. Okay. Finally, what's next for us? Here is our commitment. As an MCR 2030 Resilience Hub, we will, of course, continue to make Juji a safer and more reliable city for our people. But more importantly, we are committed to being a good partner. We promise to share what we have learned, both our successes and our setbacks. We are eager to strengthen cooperation. We are eager to strengthen cooperation through platforms like MCR 2030, because we believe that when it comes to global challenges, collaboration is our greatest source for resilience. Okay, that's all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that presentation and for showing how Juji has turned its long-standing flood challenges into a springboard for resilience. I think also seeing your city's integrated approach from smart infrastructure to regional cooperation is quite a wonderful and compelling example of how local innovation can drive global leadership. So thank you once again. With that, having had all of our speakers present, we are now going to move into the Q&A portion of our session. So hopefully we've all been stirring in our heads and thinking of what kind of questions that you would like to ask our wonderful, insightful speakers today. So I would like to ask, does anyone have any burning questions that come to mind? Oh, okay. I see one person over there. Do we have a microphone? Thank you so much. Oh.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation for the speakers. I am Abdul Khalik from Bangladesh. I'm working for the local government engineering department. I think everybody knows Bangladesh is the 7th vulnerable climate country, and it's the 180 million people is living in the small area on 147 square kilometer area. Due to climate change, Bangladesh is facing a lot of climate change hazards, and this hazards is increasing day by day. Especially the cities, including our capital cities and the coastal cities, are facing a lot of challenges. That mostly they are the urban flooding due to the increased rainfall and drinking water scarcity, and heat island effect also, and water logging due to increasing the sea level rise. And cyclone and storm surge also increased. So my question is that this workshop and the seminar is holding for the strengthening global cooperation and disaster risk reduction. And we have heard the success story of the Incheon, Ulsan, Sendai, and also the Juji. So city-to-city cooperation modality, the Bangladesh can expect this type of help from Incheon or any other example city. And we expect some collaboration to capacity building our stakeholders, including all of the officials also. Also, the technology. We need some technology for achieving the resilient city, and also the financial assistance. So financial assistance also, a lot of climate finance, but we cannot access, and some condition is there. So we're expecting, in terms of peoples and vulnerability, Bangladesh has the priority and get the more finance from the developing countries and the funds. So do you have any idea, any of those programs to take some initiatives to make the resilient city of Bangladesh, especially coastal city and Dhaka city, by collaborating the example cities like Incheon or Busan or Sendai and Atsushi. So how to this forum can lead this collaboration, I'd like to know. Thank you very much.
Would anyone like to take that?
네, 인천시 시민안전본부장입니다. 네. 글쎄요, 인천도 자연재난, 특히 뭐 자연재난으로 해서 폭우로 인해서 이런 피해 많이 있습니다. 이게 일단 폭우의 원인을 저희가 생각해 볼 때 이게 지금 인천도 재개발 뭐 이런 거로 도시가 지금 변화가 지금 있어요. 부분 변화가 있는데 실질적으로 그렇게 개발이 돼서 새로 도시가화가 된 데는 사실 큰 피해는 없습니다. 문제는 원래 있던 도시, 원도심이라고 우리는 하는데 그 원도심 지역에 이 기반 시설이 좀 부족해요. 그러니까 하수도 시설, 뭐 우수 시설 이런 게 상대적으로 부족하다 보니까 침수도 많고 이런 상황이 많이 발생되고 있습니다. 근데 그런 거를 이제 예방하기 위해서 아까 이제 제가 말씀드린 것 중에 뭐 수위 계측기 뭐 이런 거 IoT 관련된 그런 거를 계속 설치를 해서 이제 관제를 하고 있고, 근데 이제 이 관제 관련돼서는 제일 중요한 게 결정권자의 그 관심도가 제일 크다고 생각합니다. 결정권자가 야 여기에 좀 투자 좀 더 늘리자 이런 결정을 하신다면 어느 분이든 그러면 이제 그게 한 번에는 안 되더라도 뭐 10년 계획을 갖고 하든지 이렇게 하면 재원을 투자하게 되면 분명히 그런 재해에 대해서 변화가 있을 거라고 생각합니다. 예를 들면 우리나라가 전반적으로 이제 하려고 하는데 이제 우리 인천시는 일단 특광역시 위주로 해서 그 재난종합상황실을 꾸몄습니다. 이 재난종합상황실이 뭐냐면 예를 들어서 인천시에 아까 말씀드린 1,400개, 2,600개의 CCTV가 있다고 했는데 그거를 다 볼 수 있는 관제 종합상황실이 거기서 다 관제를 할 수 있습니다. 인천시에서. 근데 이게 또 더 현장으로 가려면 우리 행정구조가 시가 있고 그 밑에는 구청이 있습니다. 근데 구청에서도 그런 관제 시스템을 작년 올해 해서 인천시는 구청에서도 그런 관제 시설을 다 일단 갖췄습니다. 그래서 모니터를 다 할 수 있어요. 그래서 어디가 침수가 된다든지 뭐 어디가 위험 지역에 뭐 어떤 상황이 발생되든지 할 경우에 우선적으로 관제가 일단 됩니다. 그래서 초동 조치할 수 있는 상황이죠. 그래서 이제 이것도 사실 이렇게 되기까지는 시간이 많이 걸렸고 또 재원도 많이 투자가 됐고 이런 상황입니다. 그래서 말씀드렸듯이 일단 결정권자의 관심도가 제일 중요하다 이렇게 생각하고 그 결정권자가 이게 보통 피해가 난 다음에 하기보다는 그 사전에 이런 투자가 돼야 되고 재원이 좀 들어가야 되는데 사실 그런 게 경제 발전도 해야 되고 건설도 해야 되고 하다 보니까 우선순위에서 밀리는 게 이제 일반적인 상황이긴 한데 그래도 이 담당 부서에서는 계속 건의를 해야 되고 또 뭐 기회가 되신다면 우리 인천시 우리 종합상황실에 한번 뭐 오시면 저희가 자세히 또 설명도 해드릴 수 있으니까 뭐 이런 거 한번 견학 차원에서 한번 오셔서 한번 시스템도 한번 보시고 또 그거를 가서 설명하시고 이런 뭐 하나하나 이렇게 밟아가야 되지 않나. 이걸 뭐 한두 해에 바꾸기는 뭐 불가능하지 않습니까? 그래서 그렇게 차근차근 해야 되지 않나. 뭐 이렇게 저는 이렇게 생각합니다. 네. 모르겠습니다. 이게 도움이 되셨는지 모르겠는데 이게 빠른 시일 내에 하는 방법이 이게 지금 하는 방법이 그나마 제일 빠르게 진행될 수 있는 한 가지 방법이 아닌가 이렇게 생각합니다. 네, 이상입니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you. And thank you for your question. I saw a hand raised at you, exactly. Thank you.
Hello, greetings. I'm Assam Halawani from Saudi Arabia. I represent Medina City in Saudi Arabia, and we are facing very different issues that was been presented today, among which is the application of the Sendai framework at the national level and reducing that to a city level. That caused so much issues. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts about the challenges that you faced from decentralization, from a national level Sendai framework application to a city level application, which causes a very prudent issues, on top of which are priority settings and also funding. It used to be very easy to fund a resilient project when it was a national level issue. Now, when it's a city level issue, then all of a sudden bankability and investability started to become an issue. An agreement among stakeholders also posed another type of challenge. I would love to hear your thoughts, if you had any lessons learned from moving away from the national level Sendai framework application to a city level. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to take that? Also online, for our speakers joining us virtually. Do I have to pick someone? Miss Liza, if you're with us, do you want to take that one?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, that's a very challenging question because in the Philippines, our law give autonomy to the local governments in terms of, like, of course, investing on disaster risk reduction and management. So, again, we do have that national law giving full autonomy to the local governments. And so that makes our work a lot easier when it comes to localizing the Sendai framework. But it also comes in with a challenge, mainly because of the alignment between the national and local governments. In our case, since we do have that full autonomy, including funding, by the way, we do have that same law that I was referring to earlier has actually mandated local governments to set aside at least 5% of our local revenue for disaster risk reduction and management, which we can use for pre-disaster interventions and response and recovery. But even with this legal basis or legal framework for localizing disaster resilience interventions, we do have still some challenges when it comes to having a harmonized system with the national government. But at the end of the day, I think what can really help us local governments about all of these things, no, and making sure that DRR can be a priority at the local level is really lobbying based on what we know as our risks, based on our understanding of our local risks. I think the best way that we can do and we can approach this is to make our national government understand where we are in terms of our risks and how we want to progress. I understand that there are many tools that we can use. Hopefully with the MCR2030, if this is something that your country has an opportunity to really, invest on it, it can really help the local governments in your country to, take a notch higher when it comes to being the frontliner in disaster resilience building in your country. I understand that for Al Madina, you're also investing in a lot of things using data. So I think if the national government can also make use of your investments on data and how you're using it to further understand your risk and solve or address your risks, then that can be something, find that common language between your national government and your local government so that you can find, a unified approach on how you can actually address and localize Sendai framework, both at the national and local level. I think that's just about it. I think that the difference in the governance system, it really makes it a little bit challenging to share how we were able to really make it in Makati or in the Philippines in general. But I believe that through the MCR2030 network and many other regional networks, we can leverage on this and try to convince the national government with the help of the different associations really working towards the localization of the Sendai framework.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for your question as well. I think we still have some time for more questions. If any of our audience members have any additional questions. Okay. Seeing no hands, I'm going to ask maybe one of my questions then. So we've heard a lot of success case studies from our speakers today. But being trailblazers doesn't mean that there aren't maybe some hiccups along the way. And so if maybe if you were to go back and do one thing differently as a resilience city hub, what would that be? And maybe I would direct this one to Ms. Hee Yong-bae. As you mentioned that being a resilience, MCR 2030 resilience hub has not been an easy journey. Maybe if you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
네. 네, 저희 울산은 그 하악 산단이 산재되어 있습니다. 그래서 과거에 원전도 주변에 있고요. 그래서 폭발이라든지 그다음에 공해가 심했습니다. 근데 이와 관련해서 저희들이 환경 부분에 복원하는 쪽에 있어서 많은 예산을 안전 쪽으로 조금 투입을 하셨고요. 그다음에 또 산업단지의 어떤 폭발이라든지 화재라든지 이런 걸 사전에 감지를 하기 위해서 올해 통합간제센터를 구축을 했습니다. 그래서 센서를 노후 칸에 이제 부착을 해서 사전에 어디에서 이제 조금 위험이 있는지 확인을 해서 신속하게 저희들이 할 수 있는 그런 부분도 있었고요. 자세한 건 혹시 뭐 답변 메일로 드려도 되겠습니까? 네, 감사합니다.
Thank you. That was perfect. Good. I have another question. This I would like to give to Mr. Lee Jun-jao. Reflecting on your city's journey, what was the most unexpected benefit or outcome of engaging in city-to-city or peer-to-peer cooperation? If you're still here with us virtually.
Okay, thank you for your question. I need to translate the English to Chinese for direct door. So wait a moment. Thank you.
Oh, I think you're mute, or maybe I didn't understand. Oh, he lost. Okay, sorry. My apologies then. Okay, then I would like to direct my question here, last one, I promise, to Mr. Atsushi Yanagisawa. To you, how has such a cooperation, a contribution increased the urban resilience efforts in other cities or municipalities based off of your efforts?
日本の災害はこれまで、地震であるとか、洪水が特に多かったですけれども、 最近では集中豪雨ですとか、それに伴うその川の氾濫、あるいはその大規模な森林火災というような、これまでなかったような災害が増えて、またその被害が大きくなる傾向にあるというふうに感じています。
First of all, Japan has been focused on our response system against earthquakes and flooding so far. However, as you all know, climate change is a global issue, and we are also experiencing climate change-triggered disasters, including torrential rains and flooding.
こういう傾向っていうのは、おそらく世界の他の都市でも、他の都市にも、共通する傾向ではないかというふうに思います。
And I believe it's not just limited to Japan. Other cities in other countries are also experiencing climate change-triggered natural disasters.
これまで経験したことのない、災害に対応する都市が増える中で、各都市が連携し合って、経験とかその知見を共有するということは、各都市のレジリエンス強化に貢献するものというふうに思います。
So this is a truly unprecedented era that we are entering in. So I think the cooperation, especially in the realm of climate change-related triggered natural disaster system, would become more important and would have been very helpful for us as well.
例えば先ほどのプレゼンテーションの中で紹介した、SMEs レジリエンスサポートプロジェクトでは、仙台市はハリケーンの災害が多い、バルバドスやあと観光都市として有名なバルセロナと連携しています。
And as I mentioned in my presentation, we are participating in SME's Resilience Support Project led by the UNDRR together with Barbados, which is also hurricane-prone country, and Barcelona, which is a famous travel destination.
こうしたタイプの異なる都市の取り組みや課題を学ぶことで、仙台市はその自分たちが経験したことのない災害にも目を向けて、新たな気づきを得ることができます。
So in this unprecedented era of climate change, I think it's also important to collaborate with cities that do not actually share the disaster profile, because we can learn from other cities in terms of the disasters that we have not experienced yet.
こうしたシティトゥシティの協力が積み重なることで、お互いの都市のレジリエンスの強化にもつながりますし、そういった取り組みがどんどん広がることで世界全体のレジリエンスの向上につながるものというふうに思います。
So in summary, I think by proactively collaborating with other cities in a wide range of natural disasters, we can truly strengthen our resilience and disaster preparedness. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for your answer there. And a great way of ending now our Q&A. Dear colleagues, we are now at the end of our session. We've heard from 5 wonderful cities across the Asia Pacific: Incheon, Makati, Sendai, Ulsan, and Juji. And each of them have demonstrated how city-to-city collaboration and peer-to-peer support are not just concepts, but active strategies driving resilience on the ground. Throughout the presentation, I've been making some of my own notes and points, and so I'd like to share with you today. One of the points that I highlighted is that there is this ongoing theme of transformation through adversity. And many of the cities here today have presented that they have faced significant challenges, whether it was industrial pollution, frequent flooding, or a major earthquake. And these challenges really became catalysts for innovation and long-term planning. But more to that, they also use these experiences as an opportunity to support and mentor other cities in their resilience journey, which I find very inspiring. The other thing that I wanted to note here was that the integration of smart and green infrastructure, but also community engagement and capacity building. Resilience is not just built through infrastructure, but also through people. And I think that this speaks to a larger and broader need for cities to not just invest in physical infrastructure, but also the social and the institutional systems. In some of the presentations that we heard today, having a very strong political leadership was acknowledged as being quite crucial. So with those reflections, I hope that you will all join me now in thanking our speakers for their very thoughtful presentations. And if you have any questions for them, maybe during the coffee break, we would encourage you very much to continue the conversation with them later on. And that being said, I would like to thank you all very much for your attention. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, we'll have a short coffee break from now on. But before that, would you please give another big applause to all the panelists and our moderator for this first session? Thank you very much. And they share their city to city, the cooperation cases of each city, and along with their ideas and suggestions, based on the real project. So I guess this session inspired many of us in building more robust and effective partnership. So thank you very much. 진심으로 감사를 드리겠습니다. 자리로 모시겠습니다. You may return to your seat. 네, 그리고 지금부터 저희 3시 50분까지 휴식 시간을 갖고요. 50분부터 다시 세션 3로 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.